Okay. And we're live. What's up, guys? I should probably pause that. There we go. All right. Let's put some music on. I need to put some music on for myself. I don't know if I can... I should be able to post stuff in my own chat. There we go. Enjoy some tunes with me. Listen to some music. That's awesome. I can finally post links in my own chat. Thanks, YouTube. All right. What's up, guys? Let's get this music going. There we go. Some liquid drum and bass. Man, I love this music. Good tunes. Good tunes. When and how do I think Secret Wars 2015 will end? Ooh, that's a good question. Well, we know it's going to end in like September because it's only an 8-issue storyline, so it's something like that. They released a couple issues in the same month. Like I think issues 2 and 3 came out in the same month, and so I think that it'll probably end by September or so. That being said, I think a lot of the characters that we know and love are going to die off. I think a lot of universes are going to be killed off. There's going to be some reorganizations, different things like that. I think that like a lot of the Incredible Hulks are going to die off. I think we're only going to be left with like Bruce Banner, maybe Doc Samson, Incredible Hulk. I'm not really sure. I don't know. I mean, it'll be. I don't know. I mean, at this point, it's really too tough to tell. I mean, they've announced stuff, like we're going to have an all-new Avengers lineup and different things like that. But I think that, like Peter Parker, I don't think is really going to be like the Spider-Man anymore. I think they're moving in the direction of Miles Morales, which it's about time, that they let Miles Morales take over the role of Spider-Man, that Miles Morales become like the Spider-Man, because I think that's been a long time coming. And I think a lot of Spider-Man fans are kind of expecting that. And I don't think very many people are upset about it, unless you're like a hardcore Peter Parker fan, which there's a lot of them out there. I think a lot of people are pretty psyched about the whole Miles Morales thing. But again, it's kind of difficult to tell. There are characters that we know will continue on. Like we know Jane Foster Thor will be the new Thor in the universe going forward. Different things like that. But let's see, Rob, do you should take the first part of the Red Lantern video, and post it instead of redoing it for each Lantern Corps. Nah, I don't know. I mean, I'll get something figured out. Rob Gubb, please, it sounds horror bad. Okay, well, that's one complaint, so out of like all the people in here, we'll see how many people complain. Let's see, thoughts on Deadpool so far. I mean, it's Deadpool's Secret War. It's basically Deadpool in the original Secret Wars event. It's not that bad. I mean, it's not terrible. It's different, I will say that. I think it's cool seeing Deadpool interjected into a whole new environment. I think that's really sort of a weird thing. First time in the chat. What's up? What's up, Ian? It's cool seeing Deadpool sort of thrust into a story. It feels like a comic book version of like Sonic and Knuckles, where you could like take a Knuckles cartridge, you could take the Sonic and Knuckles game, you could put like Sonic 2 in it, and all of a sudden you have Knuckles, and it just makes the game better. It's cool seeing Deadpool in Secret Wars. That being said, that's all we get. So I think that Marvel might be sort of analyzing things. This may just be a last hurrah for Deadpool, and after this, we'll just never see Deadpool again. It may be that, that it's a test that they're looking to see how well received the story will be. And if it is well received, they'll keep it going. They may also be looking at the movie. If the movie's very well received, it really just kind of depends, I think. I don't know exactly what Marvel has going on behind the scenes, but, the whole thing with Deadpool's cool. I mean, I'm enjoying the story so far. So, everyone says read Time Runs Out before Secret Wars, but can you tell me the exact graphic novels, please? Thanks. Just read New Avengers Volume 3 and Avengers Volume 5, and that's really all you need. Yeah, that's pretty much all you need. That is, as far as I understand, that's the entire Time Runs Out. Of course, I think they do have a Time Runs Out trade paperback that you can get. Do I like Knuckles or Shadow more? Definitely Knuckles. I grew up with Knuckles. Like, he's a much better character, I think. A cooler character to play with, anyway. What do you think of the 2 Wasp suit and the Ant-Man movie? I kind of expected that. With the interesting thing, I mean, I don't really compare it to the comics because I went into the movie expecting it to be different than the comics. I mean, I didn't, Scott Lang's most notable moment in the comics is when he got blown up. So, I guess aside from his solo series right now, anyway. But I was kind of expecting something different. I think it's cool that the Wasp suit and the Ant Man suit look almost exactly the same, except one's designed for a woman and one's designed for a man. I didn't because in the comics the way it's set up, the idea is that Janet Van Dyne grows wings whenever she shrinks. Like it's not until she actually shrinks down into her wasp form that she physically grows wings. And I didn't expect to see a character physically grow wings. That would be kind of, that'd be kind of silly. But I think that the idea is, you know, to have her operate as more of a partner than a sidekick, and that's what I'm really hoping the difference is. I'm hoping they don't introduce her as like a sidekick, like you're a sidekick to Ant Man as opposed to fighting alongside Ant Man. I mean, it looks like what they're doing is they're basically building up the romance between Hank Pym and the original Janet Van Dyne with Scott Lang and Hope Van Dyne. So the Hank Pym Janet Van Dyne romance is cool. I doubt we'll see Scott Lang hit Hope. But nonetheless, it'll be interesting to see how it all plays out. But nice hat, thank you. It's a UK Wildcats hat, so I'm a huge UK Wildcats fan. I live in Kentucky. Why wouldn't I be? Rob has all the swag, all the swag. How much swag? All the swags. You're going to go see Ant-Man in like 10 minutes? Well, you're going to be very happy because the movie was really good. I really enjoyed it. Ant-Man isn't really like an action film per se. It's a great combination. It's a great blend of like action and comedy. That being said, it's the best solo film for a character that's not a sequel since Iron Man 1. So, it's pretty solid. Will Wasp be in the Civil War movie? I don't think so. I think like there's a list I saw where they were going through and they were basically like debunking rumors, and they were saying like one of the rumors is that Wasp is going to be in Civil War. I don't think she is. I think that she's expressed an interest in it, but I don't think she's going to be in Civil War. If she did, it'll be kind of cool. We started this about 10 minutes ago, so you're not late at all. I mean, I guess you're late, but you're not so late that we're getting ready to end it or anything like that. What am I vaping today? I am currently vaping. It's called the Player. It's actually the company that makes it is called the X's, but this one's the Player, and it's a tobacco flavor. It's really really good too. It's what is it? What all does it have? Well, it doesn't say it on here, but it's tobacco and I think saffron and like some nutmeg or something like that. I can't remember, but it's a really good flavor. Ant-Man is a true in page flipped in the book of a true in page flipped in the basically. I mean, it's I'm flipping through the book of Phase 2 and it's like bam, Ant-Man, and you're like wow. I mean, it really took you by surprise. It took me by surprise. I didn't expect it to be as good as it is now. You're right. I'm sorry, I didn't expect it to be as good as it is, but now like I'm really psyched. I mean, it was a great fun film to go see, and I really enjoyed it. I think that was the biggest concern that people had with the Marvel Cinematic Universe, with the Ant-Man film. And you would think people would know better by now. You think I'd know better by now. But I think the concern that a lot of people had is that the movie wasn't going to be as good as people thought it might be because Ant-Man was so obscure. I mean, Ant-Man was such an obscure character. I mean, he really is. When you look at Hank Pym's notable for two things: hitting his wife and making Ultron, and that's it. I mean, there's really nothing more to him than that. He's never had a solo series. He's always been a backdrop to the Avengers. He's always the first person to get beat up. We talked about all that stuff, in my video. And so when Marvel came out and they said, we're making an Ant-Man film based on Scott Lang, people were like, well, I mean, hell, Hank Pym's, obscure enough. You're going to pick Scott Lang? And I was kind of like, man, but I mean, Iron Man was more notable. And so this is about as obscure as Marvel's gotten. I mean, people will say Guardians of the Galaxy was obscure, but certainly not, because Guardians of the Galaxy gained their notoriety after the Annihilation event. And people were like, huh. Like, I mean, people knew who Star-Lord was to a degree, because of his solo stories before. People knew who Rocket Raccoon was because of his solo stories beforehand, but we hadn't actually seen them team up before. And watching, reading the Annihilation event, reading them getting together and forming the team and everything, people were like, okay. It was People are like, I could see this happening. So, Marvel fans knew who the Guardians of the Galaxy were. Casual fans to a degree knew who the Guardians of the Galaxy were, and casual fans to a degree knew who Scott Lang was. The problem was that Scott Lang just wasn't known for anything, and so it was a great choice. It was a risky choice, but it was a great choice. It was risky because it could have been a total flop. People could have been like, I don't know who that guy is, and I don't care, and they're not going to go see the movie. But it turned out to be a really good gamble because it paid off. I mean, it was a very entertaining character. So. Let's see. Rob, do you think Civil War is too crowded and because of this, people may not like it? That's a really good question. And I've actually been, we've been having that conversation, me, Benny, and Sal, and, off and on, in the background, we've been talking periodically and a couple of people that I've compared to, or I guess that I've talked to, it's one of those things where it depends on how it's written. Age of Ultron was written clunkily. Age of Ultron feels like it was written sloppily. Like it was just kind of thrown together. Like Marvel was like, we need to do something that's bigger than the first Avengers film. So let's just do Ultron. They just threw it out there. In truth, I still stick to the argument that this day that the importance of Age of Ultron, like, the conflict with Ultron, all that kind of stuff, that was distraction. That was, an excuse to give us a movie about the Infinity Stones, and that's what the movie was about. The movie was about the Infinity Stones. Ultron was just kind of there, and some stuff happened. Having said that, I think that with Captain America 3, with the Russo brothers behind it and everything, it's going to be much better organized. I think it's going to be better written, especially when you have an event like Civil War. Now, as far as I understand it, the movie itself is supposed to start Civil War. It's not supposed to encompass Civil War. So, I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure that's the case, that, it basically launches a Civil War conflict. That being said, that would be an awesome idea because imagine, you have the films going forward. You have Black Panther, you have the Inhumans, you have, Captain Marvel, so on. And in the backdrop of all that, you have the ongoing conflict between Captain America and Iron Man. That would be a great way to keep things going, a great way to keep things fresh, a great way to keep things exciting. My current pull list is everything from DCU and all the Secret Wars tie-ins. But that's pretty solid, in terms of my view. That being said, if it is just one movie, if the entire Civil War conflict is encompassed in one movie, Iron Man and Captain America become enemies and they make up and it all happens by the end of the film, then it will feel rushed. Then it will feel like Avengers 2. It will feel like there's so much happening so fast. But again, at this point, I don't know. I mean, there's really no information out there about the script aside from the fact that it's about Tony Stark and Captain America fighting. So it's very difficult to tell what all is going to happen. When the trailers come out, when we start to get a little more information, when we start to figure out what's going on, of course I'll do a full trailer analysis. There's no way I wouldn't. If there's ever a movie that I will do a full trailer analysis for, it will be Captain America 3. And once we get that, we'll get a lot more information. We'll get a much better idea of what's going on. But it doesn't come out until next year, and we're in the middle of the summer of 2015, so we got a while. And I mean, with Ant-Man having now been released, and with Jessica Jones coming out, Netflix and everything like that, I think that we will see. I think we'll see more happening with regards to Captain America. We'll see more information coming out because that's the next big movie is Captain America Civil War. I mean, that's the next big thing. And so we're going to see a lot more information being dumped about the film. We're going to see a lot more information coming out. We're going to see some trailers, most likely, some TV spots and so on. And it'll be cool. So, Rob, will you ever do a video on Iceman? I may at some point or another. I mean, I'd like to do videos on all the X-Men, but again, it's difficult to do. Where is the one above all? Is he dying? We don't know. And truthfully, I don't think Hickman cares. See, here's a really cool thing about Jonathan Hickman. I was watching an interview that he was doing. I can't remember who it was he was doing it with, but he was doing an interview, and he was talking about how he writes his stories. And of course, Jonathan Hickman is doing Secret Wars right now. Jonathan Hickman wrote Time Runs Out. Jonathan Hickman did the story that we just finished with Franklin Richards. And he said that the way that he does his scripts, the way he does his stories, is he has the ending laid out. He knows what he wants the ending to be. And from there, he works forward. And so that's one of the reasons why the stories are so intricate and so well written, is because he doesn't start from, okay, here's a catalyst, let's go from there and figure out the ending. He says, here's the ending. What do I want everything to be that leads towards it? And so... with all that having been said, I think that it will be, I don't know. I don't know. It's hard to get my thoughts organized here. It's hard to get my thoughts. That's, I don't know. I'll come back to that thought later on. So, Let's see. Uh, yeah, I agree. Civil War is gonna be next week. Yeah, I mean, I don't know why it wouldn't be. I don't know why it wouldn't be at all. They said Civil War will be one movie. See, I hope it's not. I think it'd be disappointing. I think it'd be. Well, we've gone over that a million times. Where I stand on that idea of the Civil War, on where I stand on that idea of what how it's all going to turn out. Let's see. There was a question. Oh yeah. Okay. So anyway. So anyway, back to your question about the one above all, because I'm trying to make it a habit to not skip over people's questions, to not like half answer their questions and move on. So anyway, back to your question about the one above all. We don't know. Truthfully, the one above all has only appeared a handful of times, and I think that what Hickman is going to do is just kind of tell us that the one above all is just there, and he's not really going to worry about it. He's going to say this happening is just the nature of all things. Everything comes into existence, everything's reborn, and so on and so forth. I mean, even the Future Foundation story, the one we went over with Franklin Richards, there was a lot of stuff that we left out because it didn't pertain to what we were talking about. But that is basically a precursor to Time Runs Out. It's basically a precursor to Secret Wars 2015. That all that leads up to it. They talk about the heat death of everything. They talk about the end of all things. They talk about Galactus and Franklin Richards standing at the end of all things and then greeting the new universe as it comes along. All that kind of stuff. And so, the feeling that I think we're going to have here is that at the end of Secret Wars 2015, it's basically going to tie up the entire Fantastic Four from Jonathan Hickman, Time Runs Out, and Secret Wars 2015. I think it's going to all be this one huge encompassing story. I could be wrong, and I may very well be, but I think that's kind of how it's going to play out, because that's how Hickman stories are told. Everything leads into everything else, and so it'll be interesting to see how it all plays out. If the Living Tribunal is dead, who takes his or its place? Well, you got to remember, the function of the Living Tribunal was to ensure that multiple realities, Hickman explained Hickman explained if we were to do videos on Hickman's entire run in Marvel Comics, it would literally take a year. Like, it would be nuts how in depth all that stuff goes. But this is your favorite comics and coffee. I'm glad you enjoy it. I'm glad you dig it. God, I forgot what I was going to say before. But anyway, yeah, I'm pretty sure it'll all sort of fold together, and it'll all come together, and it'll all make sense. So, let's see. How will Civil War work with? Oh yeah, I'm sorry. We were talking about the Living Tribunal. So see, I get so scatterbrained. Whenever I get distracted, like I get so scatterbrained. So the purpose of the Living Tribunal, you have to remember, is that the Living Tribunal served the purpose of ensuring that all the universes exist in balance, that the multiverse exists in balance, that no one universe became a threat to the other universes, that no one universe, stepped out of that balance of power, different things like that. And so, like, say for example, that someone found a way to use an Infinity Gauntlet in another universe. We know they can't, but let's say they did. The Living Tribunal would correct that. That's the purpose that he serves, is to ensure everything exists in balance. Because right now, in Secret Wars 2015, there is no multiverse. There will be later on. There will be alternate universes later on. Marvel's told us that. But because right now, in this moment, there is no multiverse, there's no need for the Living Tribunal. The purpose of the Living Tribunal is served by Doctor Doom. Doctor Doom oversees all the realities. The purpose of the One Above All is served by Doctor Doom. He oversees all the realities. Because everything that's in existence right now is Secret Wars, is Battleworld. That's it. There's nothing else out there. And so, that'll probably change later on as the new Marvel Universe expands itself, because that was basically what Secret Wars was Marvel, consolidating all the realities and saying, we're starting our multiverse from scratch right here. This is it. And so, as things progress and things change, we'll probably see the Living Tribunal reintroduced. We'll probably see the One Above All appear in some capacity. And it could be that, Jonathan Hickman has all this going in this huge direction. But again, we don't know. Where's the original Beyonder? The last we knew, the original Beyonder was literally turned into a cosmic cube. But right now, we don't know. Remember, guys, a lot of these characters, as far as it's explained right now, the assumption we have to make is this. If the character has not made an appearance in Secret Wars or has not been referenced, they don't exist. That's basically where we have to go right now. That's the assumption we have to make. If you don't see the character in any of the tie-ins, if you don't see the character in the main Secret Wars event, they're dead. They don't exist anymore. That's pretty much what we're being told, or at least as far as I understand, that's how I'm interpreting it. So, Rob, who do you think is King of the Nerds? Will Wheaton, Chris Hardwick, Will Wheaton, Will Wheaton. I would say Will Wheaton probably. I mean, I grew up watching him on Star Trek: The Next Generation, so when he met the Traveler and took off to another plane of existence or something like that. Let's see. Rob should you should have a what if event for Robbie Baldwin if he will be in Civil War. Robbie Baldwin is I hated that character. He was dumb. I didn't like him at all. I mean, yeah, I didn't like him at all. Let's see. Doesn't anyone else? Is my voice out of sync for you guys? Let me know if my voice is out of sync. It shouldn't be, but let me know if it is. What are my thoughts on MCU villains? The problem that I have with Marvel Cinematic Universe villains is they're not relatable. They're formulaic, and that is the inherent problem with villains, and that was never more evident than with Darren Cross in the Ant-Man film. With the Marvel comics, you can do a lot more with villains. You can spend a lot more time making villains relatable. You can spend a lot more time making villains intriguing. You can spend a lot more time developing them, turning them into something awesome. With the comic or with movies, you can't do that. With movies, like, you establish villains, the villains fight heroes, and that's that. The problem that I think that Marvel has, okay, cool. If it's good and everything, that's cool. The problem that I think Marvel has is Marvel is so focused on making an expanded universe for heroes, on like the Avengers and things like that, that they don't worry about the villains. Because in truth, the role the villains serve in the films is to give us the heroes. That's it. The purpose of, Obadiah Stane in Iron Man 1 was to establish the fact that Tony Stark was going from being a war profiteer to a hero. That was the role that Obadiah Stane played. The role that Darren Cross played was to give Scott Lang the perception of a hero, to say, here's why Scott Lang's a hero. He's fighting this guy who's doing bad things. And that's it. I mean, that's the only role that villains play in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. And it sucks, because in truth, at this moment right now, the Kingpin is the only villain that's really received great character development. And that's because they had 20 episodes. They had 20 hours effectively to turn him into something awesome. When you have 1/10 of that time, you just don't have the ability, you don't have that luxury to make it something cool. You don't have that luxury to, develop a character that way. And so that's really kind of what Marvel is, what they have to deal with. That's really where they're at. They're in a position where they're creating heroes, and they need something to create a line of, to create a dichotomy. They need something to say, here's the hero, here's the villain, and here's what defines the hero. Because the hero is what all the stories are going towards. I mean, everything's going towards the Infinity War. And so they need us to know, here's why Captain America's a hero. Here's why Iron Man's a hero. Here's why Captain Marvel. Here's why Black Panther, so on and so forth. Here's why, Scott Lang are heroes, because they fight these bad guys who do these things. And so, let's see, Rob, if you could have one crossover between an anime character and a Marvel character, who would it be? I mean, Goku, obviously. No, not Goku. Vegeta. Vegeta and the Incredible Hulk. That would be an awesome matchup. Vegeta versus the Incredible Hulk. I think I've seen that argument before on Comic Vine, but I think that'd be a cool. Concept. Let's see. Which comic book character has the most money? I want to say it's Black Panther. I think I'd read an article somewhere where somebody broke down like all of the characters all the characters' wealth, and they said that with Black Panther owning like an entire country and owning a single source of like element for the world, like he's the sole person that owns that. That he's the richest person. It would be like someone in the real world right now being like the sole provider of oil for the world. Like, I'm the only one who owns oil. I'm the only one that, like, I own the territory that has all the oil. You have to go through only me to access that. It would make me astronomically wealthy. That I think is why Black Panther is the richest person. After that, it falls into a culmination of things. I mean, it's really just kind of broken down because it's really difficult to do. I mean, it's hard to compare. You know, is Tony Stark richer than Bruce Wayne? Well, they're not in the same universe, and there's no way to know. So at that point, it just comes down to who you like more. People who like Batman more are going to be like Batman's richer than Tony Stark, and people who like Tony Stark more are going to be like Iron Man's richer than Batman. You know, and so on and so forth. It just kind of depends. But what we can agree on is that no one else in any of the comic book territories owns an entire country and is the sole provider of one of the rarest minerals in the world. So I think we can all agree that Black Panther is probably the richest person in comic books. Let's see. If you were Flash, Rob, can you please do me a simple favor and unblock my other channel? If you were trolling, you probably got banned. So the answer to that question is no. Yeah, probably not. I mean, I don't ban you unless you were trolling. So, have you read Ultimatum? What did you think about the version of Reed, who is now the maker? You know, I was thinking about that. You know, I haven't read Ultimatum. I didn't read it all the way through. I was never really a big fan of the Ultimate Universe. That being said, Reed Richards as a villain is intriguing. You know, Reed Richards as a bad guy is interesting. Not interesting enough for me to buy into it. Not interesting enough for me to say, man, like I really find that cool. You know, it's just, it's you know, I've never really been a big fan of the Ultimate Universe, to be honest with you guys. You know, if I were to be truthful, I've never been a big fan of the Ultimate Universe. I never got into it. You know, I know Miles Morales is popular, and I know there are elements of the Marvel Universe, of the Ultimate Universe, that people love. You know, and I'll bring you content based on that stuff. But for me, you know, I never avidly sat down and read the Ultimate Universe. I never found it that fascinating because to me, I liked the origins that we got in the mainstream Marvel Universe. You know, I liked those stories more than the, you know, Ultimate Universe counterpart. So, let's see. Rob, where do you rank Ant-Man with other Marvel Cinematic Universe movies? Oh man. No, you didn't get banned. You got blocked. Well, okay. Send me a message with your channel name. Yeah, Banhammer, he who is not worthy. Yeah. Um, Whosoever trolls my channel, if he be caught, shall possess the power of the Banhammer. I would say that with the movies that have come out so far, you know, when it comes to solo films with number ones, I guess, you know, the first of the solo films between Iron Man 1, Thor, Captain America 1, all that kind of stuff. Ant-Man comes right after Iron Man 1. He comes right after that. I mean, it's Iron Man 1, Ant-Man, and then, you know, Captain America, Thor, so on and so forth. If you're talking about all the movies that have been made so far, Ant-Man's not ranked that high. I mean, I'd say off the top of my head, the number one movie that I have is Guardians of the Galaxy. Well, no, I'm sorry, Iron Man, because that started the whole Marvel Cinematic Universe. After that comes Guardians of the Galaxy, probably Captain America, The Winter Soldier, you know, and then after that it kind of breaks down Avengers, and then maybe Ant-Man. It kind of depends, but let's see. Rob, is the MCU going to be a combination of Earth 616 and the Ultimate Universe? Not really. Think of the MCU as a totally different reality. It's completely separate. You know, it's totally gone. There's, you know, a whole different, you know, kid and caboodle, and we know that for a couple of reasons. We know that because one, in the Ultimate Universe, you know, as Sal so eloquently pointed out in one of his videos on Back Issues, that Hank Pym had basically like beat his wife savagely. You know, the relationship between Hank Pym and Janet Van Dyne in the Ultimate Universe is vastly different than the universe that we see right now with the Marvel Cinematic Universe and the relationship between Hank Pym and Janet Van Dyne. So we know right off the bat it's not a combination of the two. It's totally separate, and that's basically how it exists. You know, in Marvel Comics, it's basically the setup is that did my thing cut out for some reason? Huh. Oh, okay. My thing stopped going live for some reason. Hopefully, it didn't freak out. But no, they're totally separate universes. They're you know, completely different in terms of what they offer. You know, so think of it as like the Earth 616 universe, the Ultimate Universe, and then the Marvel Cinematic Universe. It's completely separate. So, yeah, the MCU has a number. It's 19. It's 19,999 or something like that. I can't remember. It's one digit short of 200,000. So. Miles Morales versus Peter Parker. I say Miles Morales. Peter Parker is a cool character, but the history of Miles Morales is far more in depth. The history of Miles Morales is far more intriguing to me. So I love I love the character of Miles Morales. I think he's much better. Let's see. What do you think we saw in Ant-Man or in Scott Lang's helmet? Hold on a second. Now, who do you think we saw in Scott Lang's helmet in the Microverse? Any chance of it being Eternity? What? What are you talking about? I didn't catch that. Okay, I gotta do some research. Hold on a second. Like, we're gonna do, well, no, we're not gonna worry about that, but I'm gonna do some research, and look around, because that sounds really intriguing. That sounds really cool. Top three DC titles. Right now, Batman, Superman, and probably Starfire. I say that's probably my top three right now. Is there a bigger role? Is there a bigger role for Howard the Duck? Oops, let me scroll back up. Is there a bigger role for Howard the Duck in the MCU for a laugh? I hope not. Howard the Duck is a goofy character. It looked like Eternity. Huh. I'm gonna have to look that up then, because I know how some of you guys are. I know some of you guys are just like, hey, like if the light shined this way, and if he turns his head that direction, and if the stars align, and the planets are all in this one particular location, you can obviously see that's Eternity. I love you guys for it. Like, your all's speculation and stuff is funny to me, but there's been some times where you guys are just so far off, it's weird. So. Hey Rob, do you like Hugh Jackman as Wolverine? I like him. Yeah, I like him too. Like, Hugh Jackman is a great Wolverine, which I'm curious to see. Like, who's gonna play Wolverine after he's gone? I'm genuinely curious to see how that's gonna play out. But nonetheless, no, I really enjoy Hugh Jackman as Wolverine. Lol, I hope not. Howard the Duck doesn't belong. No, he doesn't. Definitely Doctor Doom in Eternity was there, dude. Like Larry Bronson is so sure. Like, dude, Rob, he was there, man. Like, I know he was there. Like, I'm so sure. Like, he was there. Who do I think would be the main villain in Doctor Strange? I probably say Mordo. I think Mordo would be the main villain. I mean, he was the first villain. Like, he's the original villain, the main villain for Doctor Strange. So I don't know why it would be anybody else. Dormammu's too big at this point. Dormammu is like a multiversal threat, and so he's way too big to introduce on the first film. Rob, do a video on Eternity? Well, apparently we have to now. If Eternity was in, like, which Rob, Rob, I'm dying. Thor versus Superman. Who would win? Okay, we'll talk about that here in a second. But no, like I mean, if Eternity was in Ant-Man, then I guess we have to talk about that now, because it's weird. Which, by the way, like, I don't know. Okay, someone explain this to me. Like, why are you guys so big on cosmic entities? Why do you guys love cosmic entities so much? Because here's a funny thing. I love asking you guys questions. Like, I love asking you all questions in these Q&As, and I know you guys love it. I know you guys love it. You guys love being asked questions. Like, I know you dig it. So, let's see. Hey Rob, can we vote on what you explain in your other channel? Right now, I mean, this is my main channel. So Rob Explains is just kind of what interests me. I explain whatever happens to be interesting to me, at the time. So, let's see. Rob, do you wish the MCU superheroes were as powerful as in the comics? Not really. I like the idea that they are more grounded. I like the idea that they're more like basic. I like the idea that they're more human. Yes, Robert Bowles. Yes, go Kentucky Wildcats. I like the idea that they are more reasonable, and they seem like a more realistic depiction. Like, that is something that I prefer more. Okay, so back to the other person's question. Thor versus Superman. Well, in the Marvel vs. DC crossover, Odin allowed Superman to wield Thor's hammer. So let's say that clause is not in there, and that Superman cannot wield Thor's hammer. That means you can't take it away from him. I would say that it'd actually be a draw. Thor's hammer is really, really powerful, but I would say that it would be a standstill. I think that Thor would be able to pummel Superman with his sword, Or I'm sorry, with his hammer. But Thor's only got a finite amount of energy. He doesn't have an infinite amount of energy. We know that because he can be destroyed. As long as the sun is replenishing the cells of Superman, he's going to have enough energy to fight. And so it kind of depends. But at the same time, as you guys are pointing out, Thor has magic on his side. He has a power of, he has magic. And so, I don't know. It's really tough to tell. I would say that off the top of my head, if I had to make a choice right here and now, and if I had to pick someone, I'd say probably Superman would win. But okay, that's my question to you guys. Thor versus Superman. Who do you all pick? Like, who do you guys think would win in a battle between? If Superman cannot pick up Thor's hammer, then who would win in a battle between the two? Why do I hate Spider-Man? Because he's boring. So, I think he's boring anyway. With all the MCU movies, is there a character that you think is missing from the movies, TV, Netflix shows? I know the Punisher will be in Daredevil and probably his own series. The Sentry. Robert Reynolds' The Sentry, I think, needs to be in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Uh, hmm Superman, hands down. Thor, obviously. Thor, the Draw. Superman, yeah. See, people are throwing up all kinds of answers. So, um, the Almighty Thor. Superman beats Thor, but it's close. Yeah, I don't know. Do I think that Spider-Man will die in the MCU and it'll allow them to bring in Miles Morales? I don't know, but I know that Kevin Feige said that, like, because they asked him about that. They were asking about Miles Morales, and it was an interview that he had. I think it was a video interview. Maybe it was Comic Book Resources, IGN. I don't remember who it was, but they had asked him, what made you choose what made you choose Peter Parker over Miles Morales, since Miles Morales is equally as well known and probably equally as liked as Peter Parker in the Marvel comics. And I think for them, I think Kevin Feige said that they chose to use Peter Parker because of the fact that he's a name that's been seen already. He's like, people know who he is, and in truth, it makes sense. We've had multiple Peter Parker films, and if Marvel is going to reboot the Spider-Man franchise, it makes sense to use Peter Parker because he was the original Spider-Man. That having been said, it's time to let him go. It's time to let Peter Parker go. It's time to put him out to pasture. I think that it would be a great decision to kill off Peter Parker in Infinity War and allow Miles Morales to take his place. That would be an awesome idea. Having said that, I don't know how it would happen. I mean, how would you explain Miles Morales becoming Peter Parker or becoming Spider-Man? I mean, you can't have you can't have the spider bite. In the movies you couldn't do that because people would be like, well, that's lame. You'd have to do something different. But there's a lot of things they could do with the Spider-Man mythology. If Marvel has the rights to it. Again, that being said, we don't know if Spider-Man, if Marvel's ability to make Spider-Man films is limited to one Spider-Man film. We don't know if, at least I don't know, if they have to stick with Peter Parker. Like, if Spider-Man in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, due to some contract or something like that, he has to be a straight white high school kid. We don't know that, or at least I don't know that. There may be people out there that do, or there may be stuff out there, information out there that I just haven't looked up. But in truth, if Marvel has the ability to basically have like free reign over how they create Spider-Man, and how they help Sony make the film, I think it's time to go ahead and jump into Miles Morales. I think it's time to go ahead and give Miles Morales his due. So, no way Sony lets Peter die. If it'll reinvigorate interest in the series, of course they'll let him die. They'll do whatever it takes to make money, And if they say, like, we're bringing in a black Spider-Man, that's going to turn a lot of heads, and it's going to raise a lot of eyebrows, and people are going to say, well, that's interesting. Some people are going to freak out. They're going to be like, oh my God, we can't have a black Spider-Man. Whatever. It's the 21st century. It's time to move on, folks. But I think that it's important to explore the existence of Miles Morales outside comic books. So. Let's see. What big events from... Oops, hold on, that question got moved up. What big events from comics would you think would be good for a movie? Oh God, that's a great question. If I had to choose an event in the comics for a film, Rob, you are flipping awesome. Well, I appreciate it. If I had to choose between, if I had to choose any of the events that are available in Marvel Comics to make a movie out of, I would choose, I would choose the Thanos Imperative. And the reason why I'd choose the Thanos Imperative is because you could use any reason for the opening of the rift. You could say, well, because of the Infinity War, there's a fault that's been opened, like a tear that's been opened between our universe and the Cancerverse, and that's the only explanation you need. I mean, in the comics, it was I'm sorry, it was the War of Kings. You know, I'm pretty sure that caused that. But you know, in the movies, you could say it's anything, and so then you could say, well, now like we've got an alternate universe spilling into our own, and it would really set a good standard because it would give Marvel the chance to explore alternate realities. It would give Marvel the chance to explore, you know, how receptive moviegoers would be to the introduction of alternate realities in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. It'd be a great, you know, it'd be a great idea. It'd be a great concept. You know, either way, I think it'd be cool. You know, it'd be a cool thing to see, and I'd be down with it. You know, but I think that it would because I mean, you have all the elements of the Marvel Cinematic Universe right now. You got Thanos, you got Mistress Death, you have the Avengers, you have the Guardians of the Galaxy. You know, and you can introduce evil versions of these characters, and it would go along great. I think it'd be the best choice. But again, there's a lot of other stories you could do Earthbound stories. You know, Maximum Security. You know, different things like that, and so it kind of depends, but. Let's see. Did you read Star Lord and Kitty Pryde #1? If so, what do you think? I haven't read it yet. Benny says it's really good. I haven't read it. He said he really liked it. Suggested that I read it, and Benny hasn't been wrong so far. You know, he mentioned that he really enjoyed the what was it Arsenal and Red Hood team up, and I was on the fence about it. And then I checked it out, and I was like, this is actually pretty solid. It's actually pretty interesting. So I dug it. So you know, Benny's pretty good when it comes to suggesting stories to read. What's my favorite comic? My favorite comic is actually a series, and it's the 5 or 6 part series of the Century Robert Reynolds. So let's see. The Joker is Jason Todd theory. I've seen that. I first heard about it on Emergency Awesome when he was talking about it on Twitter and his YouTube channel, and because I watch his YouTube channel, I watch a lot of YouTube channels for comic book YouTubers, and non comic book YouTubers as well, like a lot of Call of Duty channels and Destiny channels and stuff like that. But which by the way, if you guys ever get a chance, go check out the Loyal Patriot. Like look up the Loyal Patriot on YouTube. Like he's solid. Like you guys think that my voice is good? The Loyal Patriot has an amazing voice. His voice is super deep. Like, hey guys, LP here. Like it's nuts. But he's a really cool guy. He uploads periodically. A lot of his gameplay, Call of Duty, but he's a really cool guy to chill. I think he's got a Twitch stream too, like the Loyal Patriot on Twitch, and he usually plays DayZ. So it's really fun to go over there and hang out. But anyway, you know, I first heard about that on Emergency Awesome's YouTube channel, and it's interesting to me, but I think he debunked it, and I think he said that you know, there's a scar on the chest, like a bullet entry on the chest plate of the armor, but there's no scar on the Joker's chest, and so I think he was kind of like that's basically, you know, telling us that that's not Jason Todd. Having said that, like let's say for example that he's wrong, that Emergency Awesome is incorrect, which is usually rare. He's usually pretty right. But let's say that, you know, for whatever reason they decide to add it in later on, and you know, they end up depicting that. That would be awesome. Like that'd be awesome to have Jason Todd as the Joker. You know, it'd be a great descent. I mean, that'd be a great story. I mean, imagine that Batman's being taunted constantly. Batman's being, you know, being hounded. You know, messages being left and stuff like that. And instead of Jason Todd being the Red Hood, Jason Todd's the Joker. That would be an amazing concept. God, I don't know. I'm surprised that hasn't been done already. I don't think it's been done already, but that'd be a cool idea. Oh, Tyrone Magnus. Tyrone Magnus is solid, dude. I love Tyrone Magnus. Like for those of you guys who don't know, Tyrone Magnus does reaction videos, and this channel is blowing up like crazy. But he does reaction videos for all kinds of stuff, and I loved like his whole thing. It was pretty hilarious. Like he did the reaction video to Spider-Man, to Kevin Feige talks about Spider-Man. That's how I found his channel, and he's been solid ever since. Top 3 YouTubers. Wow, top three favorite YouTubers. Number one is probably CNanners. Number two is probably Tyrone Magnus. And number three is Emergency Awesome. Yeah, I'd say probably in that order are the three channels that I dig the most. Let's see. You pitch for an MCU movie with Silver Surfer and Galactus interacting with. Oh, my pitch for that? Ooh. Man, I don't know. I mean, a pitch for Galactus in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. A pitch for Galactus. Okay. Okay. A pitch for Galactus in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. All right. Let's say that right now, everything in the Marvel Cinematic Universe is Earthbound, for the most part, with the exceptions of Guardians of the Galaxy. It's all Earthbound. Let's say that with Guardians of the Galaxy, that it, like you would have to segue with the Guardians of the Galaxy. I mean, there's no other way you could do that. You would have to introduce Galactus and the Silver Surfer with the Guardians of the Galaxy. We could go the route of saying, well, the Silver Surfer shows up to Earth one day and says Galactus is coming, but that's not that's not interesting. That's not intriguing. That's boring. That's been done before, and I wouldn't like that. So let's say that that you have, God, let's see. So let's say you have the Guardians of the Galaxy off doing their own thing, fighting somebody or whatever, and let's say that over the course of movies, it's subtle. Over the course of the movie, it's subtle. It's never a big thing. They never make it a huge thing. But planets are being destroyed. They're being consumed. Let's say this happens over the course of like phase 2 or phase 3 or whatever it is. That periodically they'll show like a scene in a movie, or maybe they'll feature something in the Guardians of the Galaxy, whatever the case may be. But there'll be something to indicate to us that planets are being wiped of their inhabitants and they're being drained of their, of their life energies, whatever the case may be. Now, immediately we would pick up on that as that's probably Galactus, the only person that would do something like that. But they give it to us in a way that it could also be Thanos too. That maybe it's Thanos going about destroying, like raising worlds basically, in an effort to locate all of the other Infinity Stones. Finally, we get around to Infinity War. The Infinity War event takes place. The Infinity War event draws the attention of the Silver Surfer, who at the time was unaware of the planet Earth. Because this is a universe spanning event. It of course draws the attention of Galactus, of the other cosmic entities, so on and so forth. At that point, given the idea of powerful characters, where they hail from, the Silver Surfer would somehow or another be drawn to the planet Earth. And after being drawn to the planet Earth, of course, he would summon Galactus. Again, that's off the top of my head. That's a quick pitch. Nothing too spectacular. I mean, that pitch isn't all that great, but, that would be, just running things off how I would kind of draw things in. But, let's see. Will Deadpool ever end up with death, like for reals? I don't know. Yeah, I play Halo periodically. I could see Deadpool ending up with Mistress Death. Like that'd be cool. I mean, I'd be down with that. I mean, I don't know, but either way, I would dig it. I'd be into it. Let's see. Rob, my other channel is 224 Vic. Yeah, okay, I'll look it up and see what's up. Let's see. Thoughts on X-Men Fantastic Four movie crossover? It makes sense. I mean, I think the Fox, if they did that, they'd be looking at the whole, like, the Marvel Cinematic Universe right now, the success of the Marvel Cinematic Universe, and they'd be doing the same thing, Warner Brothers is. Like, oh, well, we got to cash in on this crossover thing, and they'd be buying into it. But, let's see. If Galactus is not within the MCU, who is a cosmic being of population control, if there is such a being? I'd say there probably isn't one. I mean, I wouldn't know. Because remember, the purpose that Galactus serves in the Marvel Comics before, the collapse of everything, is he consumed worlds that house celestial eggs. They were basically being used to create new celestials. And that's how that's how the universe was kept in check from having like a litany of celestials, is he consumed the worlds where they would be born on. The Galactic seeds, so that's what you want to call it. But no, I mean, that's really not an element here in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, so there's really no need for him, to be honest. Let's see. Do you think instead of... let's go back up. Do you think instead of replacing Hugh Jackman as Wolverine, Fox will kill off Logan and introduce X-23 as a new Wolverine? That would make sense, and I would dig it. I mean, I'd watch it. I'd be into it. But I mean, I don't know. I mean, like a Wolverine-like character needs to exist in the X-Men. I mean, I can't imagine them having no version of Wolverine whatsoever. So. The Living Tribunal in Infinity Wars. My thoughts. Well, having the Living Tribunal in the Marvel Cinematic Universe would be a great way to bridge the gap between the Marvel Cinematic Universe and the comics. It would be a great way to do that, But at this point, with Secret Wars being lost, I'd say it's probably too late. I mean, assuming that, again, multiple universes are born, and assuming in the comics that they tie into the Marvel Cinematic Universe, it would make sense. The problem is that comics that exist, because there are comics that exist for the Marvel Cinematic Universe, they never sell well. Like, they never do well. Because no one really cares what goes on behind the scenes. Some people are just like, I want to see what happens to the movie, and unless it's like a huge film, like they had a comic book prelude to the Age of Ultron, which I made a video on it and uploaded it, but nobody really seemed to watch it. I don't think people really cared that much. So, let's see. What are your interests outside comics? Vaping and gaming? Yeah, hanging out with friends and chilling, going to the gym and so on and so forth, that kind of stuff. So, let's see. Rob, if I could direct a Marvel movie and it had to be new characters, what comic characters would you do? And who would the cast be? Also, what would the plot be? And would Stan Lee make a cameo? That is a big question. That is a big question. I guess a series of questions. That I'm going to have to answer another time because that would take a while. That could be an entire video in and of itself. Let's see. Well, let's jump into that. Let's talk about that. Let's see. Characters that I would use. Well, I'd use Robert Reynolds as Sentry. That would be my story. My story would be the introduction of Robert Reynolds as Sentry into the Marvel Cinematic Universe. And the idea would be, who's Robert Reynolds? Who is the Sentry? People would, it would literally be a story where he travels throughout the Marvel Cinematic Universe, coming into contact with Reed Richards, not really Reed Richards, he's not in there, but coming into contact with Spider-Man, coming into contact with the Incredible Hulk, with Captain America, with Iron Man, saying we knew each other before, why do you not remember me, and eventually it would all come together and it would all make sense. I mean, if you guys haven't read it, go read Paul Jenkins and Jay Lee's The Sentry, which you can read it on Marvel Unlimited, but go read that limited series, and that would be my story. And of course, Stan Lee would make a cameo. So, no, I didn't read I didn't see the Goku versus Superman 2. Tiger Cats, or this is the Kentucky Wildcats hat. So, who likes the Sentry? He sucks. I like the Sentry, and you suck. I know it's getting kind of personal, but what's your favorite food? Well, that's not personal at all. Chinese food, definitely. Chinese food's amazing. Let's see. Do you think that an Illuminati group will exist in the MCU? No, I don't think we'll have an Illuminati. I don't think we'll have one. What's more powerful, Heart of the Universe or the Infinity Gauntlet? Definitely the Heart of the Universe. I mean, it's explicitly stated that the Heart of the Universe is far more powerful because the Heart of the Universe is the embodiment of power, whereas the Infinity Gauntlet lets you manipulate power. So, let's see. I see you e-smoke. Are you e-smoking to quit smoking cigarettes? And I understand if you can't answer, but I don't smoke weed. And I used my e-cig to initially get off cigarettes, but now I just enjoy it. It's just a fun habit to have. Do I recommend Marvel Unlimited or Comic Bento? Marvel Unlimited, definitely. So burn, so edgy. Do you think we have a Venom movie before 2030? I think so. I think they'll make a Venom movie at some point, just because Venom's a big name. Venom is well known, and people will go see it. But I don't think it'll be good, to be honest, unless Marvel's backing it. If Marvel's making it, it'll be solid. But if Marvel's not making it, I don't think it'll be very good. Am I the only one, or are you the only one who thinks Phase 4 will have the Dark Avengers? No, I think we'll see the Dark Avengers in Phase 4. I mean, you've already got Spider-Man, so you can bring in Norman Osborn, and you can bring in Hammer, and you can have him launch his own Dark Avengers. I mean, it would make sense, some kind of antithesis. I mean, you could even say the Dark Avengers are a response to the Avengers, with Civil War. And you could even turn around and say that Captain America, instead of it being the Secret Avengers, that it's the Dark Avengers. It depends on how they want to spin the movie. But let's see. Hey, Rob, I'm a huge fan. Well, thank you. Thank you, Eugene. I appreciate it. All right, guys. We're gonna go ahead and wrap this live Q&A session up. I need to get to work on the Red Lantern, the Red Lantern Corps. My brain's in a million places. But if you guys don't follow me on Periscope, make sure you guys follow me there, because I was Periscoping earlier, what I had for the script so far. And you get a lot of behind the scenes stuff, and so on. But I if you don't know how to follow me on Periscope, just follow me on Twitter, and I go live on Periscope all the time. People will tell you, like, I'm always on Periscope, and so you can follow me that way. But yeah, so anyway, we're going to go ahead and round this up, and I will catch you guys later. Peace.